Well, hello, beautiful. This is Pamela Bird, your boundary coach, and let's talk boundaries, shall we? Today is a special edition of Let's Talk Boundaries, and the reason for that is because it is National Women's Month. The women I am celebrating are the women of the history of Let's Talk Boundaries. That is the women, the beautiful, amazing women that have been guests on my podcast since the beginning of the year. Can't wait for you to hear them. Today, we're celebrating Women's History Month by shining a spotlight on 6 extraordinary women who have graced this podcast this year. These powerhouse women are trailblazers in their own right, each with a story that embodies courage, growth, and transformation. They faced challenges, conquered obstacles, and learned to embrace the art of setting healthy boundaries, proving that boundaries aren't just a tool, but a foundation for living a purposeful and fulfilling life. Let's dive in and let the celebration begin. I thought I would do something a little different today in lieu of the celebration of these wonderful, beautiful women that I will be showcasing today. I'm sitting outside on my patio, and I'm doing that because it's just a change of pace. Because in honor of Women's Month, I just wanted to make sure that we got out there, that we exposed ourselves into the elements, into the lives of the people that are going to benefit from what these women bring to the table. So each of the women that you are going to learn about today are women that have previously been on my show in this year when I started up in January for this podcast, Let's Talk Boundaries. And I wanted to share some information about each of these women because you know what? We don't really know who we're standing next to or who we're talking to oftentimes when we are out there networking and getting to know people. So from the podcast that I have had with each one of these ladies, I have had a chance to get to know them. Some of these women I have known for years. Some of them I've met recently, and some of them I met through doing this podcast. So I'm excited to share each and every one of these ladies with you. Women's Month is about inspiring, it's about educating, and it's about helping you to understand or to learn about women that are not necessarily in the spotlight, but they are doing exactly what they need to be doing. You know what that means? That means they're fulfilling their purpose in life, and they're not afraid to do that. They've got the courage to do it, and they've got the ability, and they know what their spiritual gifts are. And more importantly, each one of these ladies has overcome something, whether it be childhood traumas, whether it be just negative experience that have tried to keep them down. And here's the really interesting thing about each one of these ladies is they've all learned how to set healthy boundaries in order to pursue the things in life that they are pursuing. So let me go ahead and get started and introduce you to each one of these phenomenal women. Now, I'm not going to get into too much detail about who they are as it relates to their professions. You'll pick that up within the actual video that I share with you, but you'll even pick up more as you view the entire podcast that they did. And of course, make sure you subscribe to Let's Talk Boundaries, because then you're going to get all the new podcasts that I do, but also you get a chance to go back and watch the full podcast from each one of these powerful women. So I'm going to start off with Miss Jean Marlowe Davis. I met Jean Marlowe Davis probably about a year ago, and when I met her, it was through some events that she was putting on. Now, Jean Marlowe Davis is known worldwide as the wealth creator. Jean, her background was as working in IRS as an auditor. And so she really prides herself in committing her life to helping people to understand the benefits of owning a business and the tax implications of that, or the tax benefits. So you can find out more about her by going to her full podcast, but I wanted to share with you just personal information about each one of these. I refer to Jean as the magnet. She's a people magnet because she draws people to her through her lively, effervescent personality. And the most important thing about Jean is she's not only powerful as a speaker, but as an educator, but she's also powerful in her persona, coming across to her clients and her audiences about the importance of God in her life unapologetically. And God is the reason that she's been gifted and blessed to be at the place where she is right now. But the theme among all of these women is they all are looking to give back, to share with others the trials and tribulations that they've made it through. That doesn't mean that they're finished, but it means, you know what? They've been equipped to do the things and to handle the challenges that are coming in the future because of the challenges they've overcome in the past. So let me introduce you to Miss Jean Marlowe Davis.
When I sit down with someone, we set boundaries. I had to learn to set boundaries with my children, set boundaries, yes, with my husband, set boundaries with business owners and people that I work with or whatever. I had to be for my peace of mind. So I like to settle on the best part of the planet Earth, which simply means I'm not worried about where we differ. I'm there for where we agree on. Can we build on what we believe in and go from there? I'm not here to look at what is Pam doing wrong, all this, that. No, I want to look at the things that Pam is doing right and that I agree with, that we can build with that. So setting those boundaries. My mom, she didn't like to hug. Okay, imagine that. The first introduction to a woman is your mother. My mama did not like to hug. She would get like this and pat. You see what I'm saying? And I would go under her arms and like, no, mama, you gonna hug me. So there was a sense of wanting to feel wanted, wanting to feel needed, until God showed me, once you put all your trust in man, you set yourself up. And I had got set up so many times that I realized, you need to be still. You need to be still. You need to trust in God. And when I began to even last year, at the beginning of the year, every year we do a fasting theme. My husband and I fast, where I said, I want to be able to identify God's voice and my voice, as well as the enemy's voice, and be able to tell the difference. Be able to tell who's talking to me. Is it God? Is it me? Is it the inner me?
Now let me introduce you to Miss Rosalind Marie. Rosalind Marie she's the pinnacle of her profession. Not only is she an entrepreneur, but she's also a birthing and financial coach, helping women and families that are starting a family to understand the financial aspect of doing that. She's got a powerful story that she's going to tell. I'm talking triumphant story. You really want to listen to her full podcast because she tells the story of how she made it through homelessness. So let me introduce you to Miss Rosalind Marie.
I was born in Louisiana, boom, right? And raised in Jersey, Trenton, New Jersey specifically, which is central Jersey, right? And I have been adulting in the ATL. And so I actually call myself a Cajun Jersey peach, okay?
A Cajun Jersey peach. I love it. See, I told you there's nothing ordinary about Miss Rosalind Marie.
No matter where you are and what you're doing, if you're going through a transition, a birth, a death, new career, a marriage, a divorce, a business, you need a coach. You need to hire a mentor to help guide you through this transition because it's something new. And why would you think you could do that by yourself? It really taught me to stay away from credit. When you go to college, you already know you're in college. They're going to give this little 18, 19-year-old a credit card, be like, have at it. Many people ruin their credit from the college years. But
Easy money.
I didn't because I took heed to what my dad said. He was like, leave it alone. I don't necessarily believe in leaving it alone. I believe in using it the way that it should be used so that you can take advantage, right? There are credit cards where you can have it's cash value, or they may have travel rewards, or there may be a gas card where you get extra points around that. So you want to use it effectively. Don't run away from it. But guess what? A financial mentor can help guide you on how to use that credit effectively and to be able to increase your capacity to, whether it's to build your business, build your wealth. You can use credit to do that. But again, you have to be taught. A lot of times your health is dictated because you're eating the same foods that your family's eating. The reason why I became a financial wellness coach is because as a birth coach, I'm coaching families towards a healthy birth experience.
Mm-hmm. How did you get to where you are right now?
Can I just be transparent? Because it's time to be transparent.
Please.
I was a single mom, which I never planned for, as I was married, right? Single mom of 2 children. Ended up having a 3rd child 10 years later. Still single mom because it didn't work out with her father. And I ended up homeless, Pam. No place to live. Like, with degrees in hand and children and no support. I don't have family in Georgia. I didn't have somebody there. Now my mom was like, come on back home. And I was like, because I don't want to raise my children in New Jersey. So, I mean, that's where I was. Rock bottom. And it's like, I never thought that I would stay there though, because I did have a very strong mindset and I had been trained to put myself in a better position. I have been trained that just because that's your current circumstances, that does not define you. You don't have to stay there.
These women are powerful, aren't they? Make sure you watch the full podcast because you want to get the whole story of each one of these powerful women. Now I'm going to introduce you to Miss Teresa Wright Johnson. Teresa is one of those women that you can just talk to her and before you know it, you're laughing and you're so engaged with what she's talking about. This is a woman that has gone through some things, but she's taken her past experiences, the really good foundational experiences, and she's used those to get through her own trials and then to spread herself wide to be able to help so many other people. I don't think I've known anyone as busy as Miss Teresa Wright Johnson, but you know what? She's out there to educate, most importantly, those who have been through domestic violence, those who have been through divorce, those who have been left in a place where they had no other choice but to go up. And she took that choice and she used it. She took advantage of it, and now she's helping so many other people to do the things that they really need to do. Those things that God placed them on this earth to do, to have the courage to do it. Because if you look at her courage, you immediately want to take on that courage yourself. Let me introduce you to Miss Teresa Wright Johnson.
Being a mother, I couldn't stay in that domestic violence situation and be a great mother and raise girls or children, right? And so I needed to set the boundary, not just for them, but for me, because what was I allowing myself? And I'm going to be honest, when I tell people about domestic violence, people think about domestic violence only certain women or certain types of people. I'll tell you, I needed to get out of that situation too, because you also could start becoming abusive, because I was fighting back. And so I wanted to get out of that situation too, because I didn't want to put myself in any place or space mentally, physically, or legally that I couldn't be a parent to my children. I love myself more than I love anybody else. And so I'm going to decide that, goodbye. I need to set this boundary for me, because my children, as I tell people as a parent educator, your children are watching you. You are their guides. So if I'm in front of them and I'm taking this, what am I teaching them as well? So I had to put my big girl panties on and say, you know what? Time to set some boundaries. So many women don't want to be without that picture. If you know me, I'm not a picture girl. I couldn't care about pictures. So it made it a little easier for boundaries to be made. But that family unit, we're told children in a single household, this is, the statistic for them to be this is this and blah, blah, blah. But an unhealthy household is even worse than a single parent household, because a single parent household doesn't mean that that's a bad place or space, but it was not a healthy space for them. I left the home. I was on the bus stop with my children, right? But I'm going to tell you something. Remember, I said we are a guide to our children. I saw my mother become a single mom and be able to do those things to raise her children. So I had something to reference, and that's why we want to remember the things we're doing in front of our children are so important. So the pause is important to me to make sure that I'm actually listening to the other person, number one. And then number two, I'm listening to my gut instinct and not reacting out of Maybe I feel pressured or I feel emotionally that I'm supposed to, hey, yes, I'm supposed to say yes or no. I also think the purpose of the pause is sometimes you need to really sit down and think. So very grateful they taught me how to be independent. Y'all know why? Because that little girl that got married at 21, 22 years old and experienced domestic violence, if they had not instilled those things, I would have felt more trapped in that relationship. But they taught me life skills to go fish on my own. And that's what parents need to do. Your children need to learn, you need to teach them how to fish so that they can eat. You don't keep fishing for them so that they can eat, because how will they ever learn how to fish?
Now you're going to meet Miss Tracy. Tracy Morgan is someone that I have known for years, probably about 20 years. And over that time, she has been an amazing mentee. She has, and here's why I say that, because she has followed everything that she and I have talked about, all the situations that she's been through. She's listened to me and she's taken the advice that I've given her and she's run with it. And because of that, she's in a place right now where she is empowered. Even through her horrendous background of growing up, she has learned how to set the boundaries necessary to do the things that she needs to do, the things that help so many other people. She's just recently started her own podcast, and I can't wait for you to hear the name of that and the purpose of her podcast. But it just really goes to show the beauty in what she has learned and how she's taken that information, running with it, and helping other people to be able to have the courage to do the same. I want you to meet Miss Tracy. Is Tracy Morgan.
Yes. So I have recently launched my podcast, and it's called Mature Manure. And it was a very interesting concept that came up from a possible agricultural venture, but it just really dawned on me that because I don't use profanity, as they say, it takes a lot to pull someone there. So I was like, we really need to start having really mature conversations for all ages of what's going on out here as a whole, and how to change. How we're truly going to address the challenges, issues, not just come up with the solutions, but putting them into action. And so the name of my podcast is Mature Manure. As I say, we're having real conversations about shit that's taking place and how to truly make that pivot to change, make that pivot to transform. You have helped me to stay focused on what are your boundaries, not just for others, but for yourself. What are you truly willing to let go so that your mind can be renewed and move forward? Because it's still one step at a time, this daily life. However, how you just took hold of me and said, you're doing this. There's going to be challenges. You're already an overcomer. The solutions are going to be there. But you know what? Someone is here to help you get through it. Not everybody has that. I didn't really have that growing up. There's a difference in being told, oh, this is what you're going to do, and the people help you go do that, versus, well, this is really what I want to do, what's truly me. And you've helped me throughout these years truly see me. And being able to address, as we say, look in the mirror, that's who you are. And I'm grateful for it, because again, it's not just about external boundaries with others, is what's the boundaries within myself? What am I accepting of myself, or what am I refusing to see? And to let no boundary be there. Is that a boundary help affecting my self-worth? Well, not just affecting it, but causing me not to recognize truly my self-worth and who I am, and letting insecurities go. It was definitely a process, because children are like sponges. So they absorb. And when someone is told something so much all of their life, well, not all of their life, to a certain point, especially during childhood, those true important years, because again, they're sponges, they're taking it in, it's going to change how they see themselves. I'm no longer calling myself a fluffy girl. But as we get older, it's like, oh, I'm a fluffy girl. No, because that means I was taking ownership. That's how I am. I'm big on words. So it was like, oh, what am I taking ownership of? Why do I still have this within me? How do I need to really see myself to overcome this? What I now know is the verbal abuse. All of those things. When I say it had to start going out, releasing, had to release it to say, no, this is who I am. And then the other part that I realized was, don't project your insecurities about your physical appearance on me because of where you're lacking. That was a boundary, of course, I had to get to. But really understanding again, as a child, I didn't know what was happening. It was just being poured into me, true ownership, that we can start making that change. We can start getting stronger in our confidence.
Now I want to introduce you to Janelle Harris Davis. I actually have been on the friends list on Facebook with Janelle for years, but we never really spoke. We're connected through someone else, through Susan, and because of that, we followed each other, but it wasn't until I saw that she published a book, her first book, and she reached out to me to be on my podcast to share her book. Janelle is a breath of fresh air. All you have to do is see her smile, and you can't help but smile as well. And her voice is so authentic, and you feel like you grew up with her. And that's all I like about Janelle. She's like a sister, and we've come to be where it's like sisters because of the conversations that we have, the information that we share with each other. And she's so authentic. She's so real. And you'll hear it through her story and through her voice. But she has such excitement to share her story because of all that she has overcome. And I cannot wait for you to meet her. So here, go ahead and take a listen to Miss Janelle.
Thing just came crashing down because I'm helping everybody else but myself.
Oh, that was key. That right there just kind of rang out.
That unexpected stranger can't be anybody. It can be places, it can be things, something unexpected that came into your world and rocked it so much out of place that you didn't even know yourself. You had to completely start over. And a lot of times what we do, we just get up and try to leave the situation. It's easy. You have a boyfriend, maybe you don't have too much time. Yeah, you can go ahead, you can leave him. If you're dealing with a family member, you could just say, well, I'm not going to call them back. But what if you're married? What if this death do you part in sickness and in health? When I'm yelling and screaming, I heard the voice of the Lord say, Janelle, if you were sick, would you want your husband to just get up and leave you? I'm going to ask for my strength to help you get through it. You can't blame nobody but you. So it was more of, yes, I'm still taking care of my responsibilities, but now the new Janelle has emerged. The new Lady J has emerged, which means now there's those boundaries. There's expectations, but they're different expectations. They're not the same that I'm putting so much on you. Yes, Janelle, everyone's expecting you to do this, that, and the other. You see what I'm saying? Whereas no, I took them off, gave them to God. See, that's the secret.
And last but definitely not least, I'm going to be sharing with you Miss Princess Booker. And I say sharing because she's definitely a gift to be shared. Recently published author, through and the book is called The Chronicles of She, and she's an acronym, and you want to find out what that is by listening to her full podcast that we did together. But at any rate, I wanted you to meet her because all that she's gone through, she has come through it because of the grace of God, because her committing her life to understanding that she's not in control and neither is anyone else in this world, but God is in control. And God is orchestrating the steps that she takes to live her life on purpose through the trials that she has overcome. Let me introduce you to Miss Princess. Biblical concept of picking up your bed and walking from John 5:8.
I went through a very challenging time. I lost my mom 2016, and then I ended up losing my home. I lost my job. I was flat broke with 3 children, and I had nothing. I lost my car. And a good friend of mine, I just prayed. I talked to God. I was like, Lord, help me. And then the humiliation of losing all of that in the midst of my friends and family, because I had this perception of myself that I had to get it right all the time and I couldn't break. And losing my mom, something broke. And I couldn't fix it. I'm a fixer. If something's wrong with you, you can call me and I'll come up with solutions and plans. I'll show up for you. But I didn't know how to show up for myself. And I remember a book that someone gave me in 2007.
Mm-hmm.
It was The Secret by Rhonda Byrne.
Uh-huh.
But the thing that stuck out to me in that particular book was the message from a gentleman named Bob Proctor. You can, if you can hold it in your head, you can hold it in your hand. And what I wanted to hold in my mind was a healthy me, a healthy family, and strength. And I wanted to be a better provider for my kids, because losing our home, clothes, car, money, it was hard for them as well. Yes, and I talk about that a lot, just in general about perspective and perception.
Yep.
For the bulk of my life, my perspective was, this happened to me.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
This happened to me.
Mm.
I never looked at what was happening for me.
Yes.
And I never really looked at my part in it.
Are these women just absolutely phenomenal? That's what I thought when I talked to each and every one of them. And because of National Women's Month, I thought there's no better way to celebrate these women, but to give you an opportunity to hear their powerful stories and to then go and listen to the full episode for each one of them, because you're going to learn so much. And we're about educating and inspiring, and that's exactly what we're doing. Each of these women, as I interview them, I'm helping them to see that, first of all, that they can do it, that they are doing it, and to give them more exposure to doing that, because they're not in the national spotlight. And I'm going to say yet, but the best is yet to come. And God is orchestrating each and every one of these ladies' steps. And I believe that God is orchestrating your steps as well. So I hope you enjoyed it. Please make sure you like, share, and subscribe, especially this episode, because this is going to really inspire you to do the things that you need to do for this year, 2025. This is Pamela Bird, your boundaries coach, and let's talk boundaries, shall we?